Is there an official number for that? And if not, would it be fruitful to maybe list trails and distances or trail segments? Maybe it's already been done. I just not aware of that.
I don't know. I don't know if there's an official number. I bet we could come up with one from everybody's GPS maps.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, as far as I know, it was the same thing that you heard, somewhere like around the number 33 sticks in my mind for some reason, and that was before the aqueduct.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe closer to 37, 38.
Well, I told her 30, but I said it's kind of a moving target.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I went through the maps and scaled off distances, but that's not very accurate. There's got to be a better way than that. I think
Yeah, I
I
would
came
think
up
the
with
GPS
25.
stuff.
That's obviously an underestimate.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to, I'm just going to read the script and have people say their names and stuff, so we can get going.
Yes.
So Forrest, I have to read this open meeting law script, and then you guys will introduce yourselves. And also we have a visitor, Justin. Justin, I'll have you identify yourself too. So my name is Bob Mihalik. I'm the chair of the Northborough Trails Committee. This open meeting of Northborough Trails is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Trails Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This order allows Northborough Trails Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative, state your name, and say each attending member's name and wait for verbal reply. That doesn't make sense. Cheryl Devine, please state your name.
Am I supposed to just, oh, okay. I'm Cheryl Devine. I'm here.
I guess.
Present.
Brian Belford.
Brian Belford, present.
Forrest Lyford.
Forrest Lyford, present.
And visitor Justin Teal, can you say hello to us?
Hi, sure, it's Justin Teal.
Hi. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative and state your name. Mia McDonald.
Can't hear you.
You did.
I can acknowledge that Mia said her name, but the audio is not responding properly.
He's muted.
Oh, it does. Oh,
Can you
yes.
unmute?
It does have the mute symbol, Mia.
Uh-huh.
Not working.
Oh, well, that kind of heard you there a little bit.
Yeah, now we'll get blips.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. Clear.
Oh, good. Good.
It does seem to be switching from mute on and off of mute, unless maybe you're doing that on purpose.
Mia, you can call on a phone and use the audio through the phone.
I am calling on the phone, using it on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I saw you do this. I thought you weren't responding because we weren't hearing you.
right, there's a little bit more to read here. The meeting business ground rules. We kind of don't operate like this, but I'll just say it anyway. The chair will invite each speaker by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. That is the extent of the remote meeting script. And then just to switch over to the agenda. It's just our usual agenda. General discussion and introduction for visitors. So Justin, since you're new to the meeting, did you have any particular topics you wanted to bring up? Or were you just here to kind of listen in and learn some stuff?
I guess more the latter. So I live on Rice Ave and I hike in Edmund Hill Woods all the time. And I'm sure you guys are aware that there's a property owner that kind of, I guess, put no trespassing signs over there. So I was just sitting in to kind of learn a little bit about that and if kind of any volunteers are needed to help with any kind of trail, whatever you want to call it, rerouting.
Okay. Yeah, that was actually, I'm glad you brought it up. That was one of the things I did want to talk about tonight with the group is, you know, I think we most likely will reroute the trail around that individual's property. But we do have to wait for permission. I think there is a hearing coming up where they'll decide, you know, basically what's going on, you know, with the particular homeowner. Why was that section of trail closed? Is there any way to resolve it and leave the trail open? And then if not, you know, can we just get permission to go around and essentially follow the property owner's property line to get back up to the top of Edmund Hill? So yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I was there Sunday and people were just walking right by the signs and not acknowledging them. What I did was I went up Edmund Hill Trail and then where the signs were, I was going uphill. So I went to the left and tried to follow, there's little pink flags tied. And I tried to follow those flags sort of to see where we could reroute the trail. And for the most part, it's clear, but it's not super clear where that property boundary is. So it might require, I don't know, surveying or maybe better flagging or something like that. But yeah, it's unfortunate that that's happening. And hopefully, you know, we can resolve it either by just having the existing trail open back up again or make a new one.
Having this meeting and who are we waiting for permission from?
The Conservation Commission.
Okay.
I think, so I did see written on some of the pink flagging out there, you know, do not move this ribbon. NCC, Northborough Conservation Commission, was written on it. That I think that would be it. I don't know if there'd be another group that would also have to, you know, grant permission, if it would need to be sort of really surveyed and marked out very clearly. You know, I don't want to reroute the trail only to find out that we ended up going back onto this guy's property by mistake and then we have to do it again. So, oh, Mia's sharing her screen, it looks like. Yeah. Oh. So that, can you guys see that map that is posted?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that essentially, the sort of the heavy blue line is the property that goes down to a sharp point down at the Rice Ave parking area. And then it looks like the red line would be the reroute. And you could see, so the interesting thing though is the posted no trespassing signs. There's at least there seems to be a little disagreement up at the top of Edmund Hill where there's the three-way junction that the homeowner or the landowner has put the signs on the east side of the Summit Trail. So I almost thought that, you see where it's written Edmund Hill Trail, and near the first L of Hill is where the Summit Trail then proceeds north. And that, from what I can tell, he didn't post signs to restrict access to that part. The restricted access is if you're coming up from the Rice Ave parking lot and you make that right turn and you start going up the hill where the red line is, definitely that section is posted no trespassing, and that there's game cameras apparently and things like that to, you know, catch the offender. My understanding is the top of the Edmund Hill Trail appeared to be accessible.
That is how he marked it with the signs, for sure.
Yeah. Now, you know, I guess formally though, if that's his property and if the goal is to completely go around his property, then we want to do where that red line is and just not be on property at all. So, you know, either way, it's not terribly difficult trail building stuff. A lot of it, I think, is just, Brian, you had a nice phrase, rake and roll or something like that.
Yeah, in the mountain bike world, it's just a rake and ride.
Rake and ride. So
this would be a rake and walk.
Rake and walk. Yeah, I mean, there's a few blown down trees that, I think as it stands now, we could go around fairly easily since we sort of have potentially would have the freedom to do that. But there may be a little bit of stuff that has to be moved, but it's fairly, it's a nice mature forest and the canopy's fairly dense, even though there's a lot of dead trees from the gypsy moths that came through a few years ago. So there's a lot of sunlight hitting the forest floor in certain areas, but this area is still pretty dense with foliage, and I think it would be fairly simple. And you know what, not to put like a silver lining on it, but that trail going up Edmund Hill is pretty eroded. It might not necessarily be a bad thing to maybe put some water bars on that lower part. And then when we reroute it, that part that kind of heads to the northwest, the red line that heads to the northwest, that's kind of going across the contour line, so should be fairly resistant to erosion, whereas the existing trail just goes straight up and is for years though it's been like that. So Mia, I don't know if you'd be able, if you have your audio functioning, but is there any date for when we would know that we could do this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hung the pink flag, and he did post on the Summit Trail where the summit meets Edmund Hill. He posted on his own property. He does own the summit, and he owns the Summit Trail. And I was able to determine that using just a tape measure and topo and a compass. I confirmed he also got a survey, the previous owner. You still hearing me okay?
Yep.
Okay, the previous owner got a survey and submitted a plan when we were in talks to buy the back acreage. So we do have an accurate survey and we do have a good topo out there. So what you're seeing, this orange line, is what I flagged with the pink flags. And I did, like Bob said, I tried to follow around, instead of go straight up, I followed around the side of the hill. We are losing the summit, but it's not a overwhelming summit. There's no view. It's technically the summit, but it's not like you can see anything. It's dense trees in there. when I did move and the pink flags, if you're able to walk it, I tried to make it so you could see one to the next. There is sort of a spur trail that goes into the middle. It looks like it's just like a few mountain bike jumps that someone likes to ride down. And then I used that as part of it so that's even less to rake. And then at the top, there's actually was a connection that was raked out between two of the disc golf fairways.
Okay.
And so I was able to utilize that to get us back on the summit trail. So it's even less raking. So it's only about 1,000 feet without, that's what it measures, without the already raked probably 200 feet. So it's only, it's only about 800 feet of raking. And there's a lot of really nice features out there. I think Forrest knows there's these great boulders. I tried to go between, a mature oak tree and like this 5-foot tall boulder that I know with lots of crags that I know kids would love to jump on, but if they fell off, wouldn't really get hurt. There were some nice sitting rocks. There was this great big flat boulder with a tree growing right up the middle of it. And I don't know if you noticed, I put a flag around this that says, "Do not cut this tree." I wrote a lot on the flag saying like NCC, do not remove, with arrows, hoping people will just leave them. So I'm happy to hear they're still there. I did use GPS, but because of the canopy, it wasn't getting the satellite. So it's really unreliable. To test it, I took points going up and I took the exact same points coming down. And when I downloaded the layer, it was just two different lines. So I know it's not accurate. So everything was done with a compass, topo, and a tape measure.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
goal is to get it completely off of his property. As far as conversations, I think this is the third time he's notified us. Like, this is the third time he's written me an official email saying, "I'm notifying the Trails Committee that this trail is closed to the public." The first two emails directed us to post signs, and both times I said, the Trails Committee is a group of volunteers. They don't respond within 24 hours. And we also don't hang signs. The Conservation Commission is commanded to maintain the area as natural state as possible. So we would not post signs. So both times I responded that if he wanted to close it, he would just notify us and post his own signs or put up a fence or block the trail in some way, but really post it, no trespassing. And so he did. He notified us and said, "I'm putting up these no trespassing signs," and he did. And so we are responding in a timely way. It's been only 2 weeks and the new area has already been flagged. It was on the next meeting of the Trails Committee, which usually you guys meet after the Conservation Commission, but now you're going to be meeting before. So that's actually working out really well because I need your approval on this location. And if you approve it, I'll bring it to the Conservation Commission this Wednesday for their approval. And as soon as they approve, you can rake it in and blaze it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I,
Formal
I-
vote of approval?
sorry, Brian, I cut you off there. What?
Do we need a formal vote of approval? Because if so, we should just approve it so we move forward.
Yeah, I forget the exact language to say, but I request that we vote on this. Other than if Cheryl or Forrest, if you, I guess, would want to go out and look at it.
Now, I've seen it. I second Brian's motion to vote on it.
Okay, I third Brian's motion. 'Cause I was there yesterday and it's, I think it's very doable.
Yeah.
So just to formalize it, since this is all recorded on YouTube, I officially move to accept Mia's map drawing of the new line indicating the reroute of this trail.
I second it. This motion.
And then we need a roll call vote.
Okay, so, Cheryl, do you just want to second it again and just state your name?
So I second, I approve this reroute. My name is Cheryl Devine.
Forrest?
Aye, if that's what you're looking for.
Just state your name for us.
Forrest Lyford, and I agree.
And this is Bob Mahalik, and I fourth the motion to approve the proposed Edmund Hill Trail relocation.
And Brian, we need a positive or negative.
Brian Belfer and I approve.
Thank you.
then potentially, if, so Mia, I guess you can just give us the green light or not, after Wednesday's meeting. And then, Justin, we can loop you in as well and maybe have a work day out there Saturday or Sunday when people are available, and bring some rakes and some Gatorade and some tick spray. And, we can head out there and get this done. So
The
we'll just
only thing that could hold it up is if conservation wants to survey the new line, or maybe rent a more accurate GPS unit to really confirm it's off his property. That would then, hold it up another month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah, because like I said, we don't want to have to do it twice.
Hmm.
So, once we have it rerouted, then, and then I would even propose too, there's a little in the drawing, there's a little gap between where the reddish orange line is shown and his property line, that we drag some brush on there off of his, not on his property, but essentially block the trail once the new one's in place. And not with anything extensive, but just to indicate to people like, yeah, that, this trail has been rerouted. Even some little arrows or something. I have some signs in the equipment shed I could put up, to direct people. They don't last very long in these areas, but, maybe once it's kind of walked on a bit, people will get the message.
Are we
So that's good.
Are we doing actual signs or emblems or painted blazes? How do we figure out how to actually demarc the new trail?
I mean, we've been painting, in the past. And maybe for this one, just at each of the new junctions, I've got these little signs that are already made up. They're like 6x9-inch little aluminum signs with the logo on it and an arrow, something like that. But I think if we put up some material on, to block the current trail and sort of steer people towards the new one, we might not need anything.
Well, I think there should be a clear indication that the reroute was done by the Trails Committee, because the people who are already willfully disregarding the no trespassing signs, I think may just clamber over any blockage. But if we have clear signs that say this is the new trail and it's the Northborough Trails signage, then I think it'll just help keep anyone questioning the legitimacy of the blocking. It'll just help keep them on track.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, certainly more information's better in this case, because that, these trails have been here for so long, and everyone's very familiar with the layout. And now I think, as Justin mentioned, sort of a lot of people are like, what the heck's going on up there? So yeah, I think that would be good. Even something that isn't necessarily totally permanent, like I don't think we have to sink in a 4x4 post, but maybe.
I was actually going to suggest that we sink in a 4x4 right in the middle, right where we want people to get off the old trail.
Mhm.
Plant the signage right there. And that way, like I said, then there's really no question of someone who's wandering up there, who did the reroute and why.
Mhm. Yeah.
Could I propose a temporary sign for now? I think the new trail will get worn in quickly, and we're at this Wednesday's meeting, we're doing more of the Pisgah conversation, and I'm trying to get the commission to agree to some signs, either a sign that says leads to private property, just a small aluminum sign that can be nailed into a tree, or one of those signs, it's sort of one of those red circles with the line through it with the word trail, it means not a trail. And then the blazing up there, the Edmund Hill Trail is a red triangle, and the summit, I think, is a blue triangle, and I'll bring some brown paint. I did this on Pisgah too. I did this actually in the previous Sparrow. When I find old blazes, I paint them over with brown, just so they're not even there anymore. So we'll reblaze when we rake it in with spray paint. And I have some fence posts from the disc golf. We could just hammer a fence post in with just a laminated sign until it grows in. It should grow in pretty quick. We have a growing season.
Yeah, hopefully people will abide by it. But yeah, I think some some indication that it, you know, it was an official trail rerouting, I think would help ease people's minds and maybe lead to better compliance, maybe. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That, you know, at least there's a potential solution to this that, you know, I don't know, you know, if the situation this guy has that's wanting him to close this trail, if there's a resolution to that, if we then open the trail back up, probably not. But yeah, and I didn't even really, there's some not YouTube, Facebook discussions that where this homeowner is participating in. And I didn't even want to get into sort of the why of the trail closure. You want the trail closed, it's your land, we're going to go around your land. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure the motivation for it, but I'll leave that up to him. You know, he must have his reasons, I guess.
Did we ever consider an easement for that trail, or is that like out of the question? Like purchasing just like an access easement from the guy?
I don't know, actually.
Even an option, like, I mean, is he just doesn't, this is his land, and he just doesn't want people on it? It's just a small section. I'm just wondering if we could do that as a grant or something, or, I mean, relocating the trail doesn't look too bad, but it is kind of nice to take in the summit there.
Yeah.
We've asked him.
we
We
have,
asked
okay.
Al Yellick when he owned it. And his comment was, there's no need. My family's let you do this for 50 years. We're going to let you do it for indefinitely. And I said, but the house is on the market. Give it to us. And he didn't. And the new homeowner is not interested in an easement at this time. I mean, we can always keep the relationship open. As far as the why, it is just his private property. We don't need a why.
Right.
I know that he has, you know, dealings with other commissions and boards and people, and really it doesn't matter. It's his private property. We just need to be respectful of that. And he also knows that, you know, we already have an appraisal, and we would even be willing to buy the backland. I don't think we'd be willing to buy an easement because all of our other easements have been donated. It's just, you know, the legal fees. We've never purchased an easement. We've purchased land, but never an easement.
All right, I guess maybe that's something to talk about, but he's not interested in selling anyways at this time. So I guess we just kind of reconsider in another time, ask him again.
I think the new trail's better. I've walked it 3 times now, the new flags. I don't know what you think, Bob, but as Bob pointed out, the old one goes straight up and it's eroding. It was going to need to be rerouted a bit anyway. And then sending me off, if you can see from the map, I kind of go off. I don't follow his property. I went up and kind of followed the edge of the hill, and there's some really nice features in there.
Hmm.
Is it already relocated, or I'm sorry, I came late. Did you just, or is it just flagged for now?
It's just flagged, Marielle.
I'll go check it out too. Thanks.
Yeah, they're pink flags that you'll see as you're going up Edmund Hill. You'll see the bright yellow no trespassing signs. And then as you look to your left, you'll start to see the pink flags. And then just basically.
Already a trail,
What's that?
part of it already a trail, like an established trail.
So I was surprised to see sort of a very low key, unofficial mountain bike trail going right down the middle. In the map that Mia has posted, it's almost goes directly south down to, I forget the name of that trail. That's shown here right above the little swampy area.
Yeah,
That
that's
kind
Proctor Trail.
Proctor.
Proctor.
So yeah, there's a pretty stout looking mountain bike jump that looks incredibly terrifying if you were going to hit that at some decent velocity because the landing is, well, there's not much of a landing off of this 4-foot high jump. But yeah, so there's like a little rogue mountain bike trail in there, and that's what Mia was saying. Marielle is part of this reroute goes along that rogue mountain bike trail for maybe 100 feet.
Mhm.
And then crosses over, and then the part up near the summit is when the disc golf course was being mapped out and planned out. There's a connection between a couple golf holes that is up there sort of at the northern end of this proposed trail. And so we'll kind of tap into that a little bit. Does anyone have any more Edmund Hill comments, or we'll just wait for Wednesday's Conservation Committee meeting to find out what the next steps are, I guess.
Hmm.
I have a completely unrelated question, but it is about Edmund Hill.
Okay.
So, where Pine Tree Trail meets Meadowbrook Trail, and there's
Yep.
like entrance into the neighborhood.
Yep.
If you look at the trees around there, they're all being overtaken by this ivy, which is probably part of like the neighbors dumping of their garden waste or whatever, because there's a lot of funky plants over there. But I'm wondering if that's two things, I guess I'm wondering about that with respect to that. One is, should we worry about this ivy taking over this area, like the trees, and taking them down? And two is, do we want to think about like neighbors using Edmund Hill property as the place to put their compost, basically? Because that's what it seems like is happening over there in that little corner.
Yeah, that's kind of a gnarly little area. There's some erosion on that trail that's happening too. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly, I'll go take a look at it and see if it's pretty clear that it's some, horrible if it was some kind of an invasive that homeowner just dumped in there, and now it's gonna, like you said, start to strangle a bunch of trees. Yeah, that would be pretty tough though to stop. My guess is that who's ever been living there has been dumping for decades, all their lawn clippings and everything like that.
Yeah. I
but
don't know. I just hate to see it taken over and taken down, like all the trees taken down and,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's unfortunately, there was, what's that Japanese bitterroot, or there's some sort of vine that's all over the place that's killing a bunch of trees.
I don't think this is bittersweet though. It's a
Oh,
different
is that, yeah.
vine, and
Yeah, like deeper.
all the trees. I don't have, I was gonna take a picture, but I didn't.
Could be Virginia creeper. That's another one that gets very prolific.
Is that what it is, Marielle?
I'd have to go look, but it certainly could be that. Where you want
It's English ivy.
Oh, okay.
It's entered the area and it's taken over, because I remember looking up at the tree and thinking, what is this, an ivy tree? And you look closer, the tree was completely covered in English ivy. And so the solution is a management issue. We should be, if good land managers walk the property line at least once a year. But we don't do that on Edmund Hill. I do that on everything that has a CR on it. I'm required to, because I usually walk it either as the holder of the CR or as the person, I walk it with whoever is holding our CR. There is no conservation restriction on Edmund Hill. This was before there were conservation restrictions. It still is managed under that program. I can't remember the legal reference, but we still have to manage it like a restriction. There are restrictions in the deed. So we should walk the property line, with a pen and paper, or take notes. Maybe I could get a volunteer if anyone's interested in doing that. And you just use Google Maps and you walk the property line, you kind of bushwhack the whole thing. And every time you find an encroachment, you take pictures from a few angles and you report it, you grab the address and you send it to me, and I go through one by one, and each person, they get like a warning letter. I do this a lot with the other properties, like, hey, these are the pictures. This is not your property. Move it by this date. Here's how you dispose of stuff at town hall, or not town hall, the DPW garage. Here are our brush days. You have until this date to move it, or, this could result in fines. So.
Yeah, that sounds like a challenge in some areas with pricker bushes and ticks and things like that. You know,
I wonder about in that particular spot I'm talking about, if there could just be, if we could just put up a sign that basically says, do not dump your yard waste here. I don't know.
my guess is the sign would disappear very rapidly.
Well, some people might actually honor it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Not knowing that they're not the right thing to do sometimes.
yeah.
I've been
that's a-
doing neighborhood letters.
Yeah.
I pick a property and get all the abutters and I send them a letter. For example, and this is usually related to wetlands. We had one on Pleasant Street. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like 7484 Pleasant Street. The houses don't front. It's a wetland in the front. Some trails were getting cut in, and the trails that were cut in were to dump their lawn waste in the wetlands. So I sent all the abutters of 84 Pleasant Street no dumping letter. That resulted in them subsequently tattling on each other. And, you know, then I ended up issuing a violation email because someone called and said, I have pictures of this landscaper from X Pleasant Street, right in your neighborhood, Forest, right around there, dumping their landscaper. So I had to go and knock on the door. But I mean, it builds communication, it's education and outreach. So I knocked on the door and I said, your landscaper was observed doing this. Here's your violation letter. It's just a letter right now. If they do it again, it's fines and enforcement. Can I get your word that it won't happen again? And she said, yes. Then I got another, it just exploded. So now I just sent one to, I guess, John Edward Drive. Everyone on John Edward Drive disposes. I don't know if any of you live on John Edward, I'm sorry. But they all dump and there's trails cut into the wetlands here, there, and everywhere. And so they have till December 1st to move it. And then I have to go back out, and whoever didn't move it by December 1st is going to get a fine. So, you know, there is a process for this, and we've talked about, is it Meadowbrook? Is that the road right there? Because they had dumped so much they blocked the trail off, right?
Yes, I think at one point, yeah, because it's kind of a little,
Yeah.
it's a dead end, sort of. And yeah, there was,
Yeah, so we could do a letter. That's the first step. It's just a neighborhood letter saying, we don't know who's doing it, but we know it's happening. It's not your property, cut it out. And if anyone, and it's sort of like a we're watching you letter, you know, as nice as you can.
Well, that's a start.
yeah,
All right. Well, you want me to send one out?
yeah, I don't know. I haven't, have you been there lately, Cheryl, to see how bad it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you could, Mia, just to get it on people's
It's
radar.
a dump. Yeah, there was a hazard tree coming from our property onto a neighbor, so I was climbing around in there, and the piles are severe. Because you know, the houses are kind of up high, and then there's a drop off in our land. People have felled a lot in there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I don't know if that ivy is something that can be dealt with, so it doesn't take over. I don't really know about ivy.
It just has to be ripped out. We'd have to do a work day and go in there and rip it out.
And then does it just come every year anyway?
Yeah, Cheryl, I don't know if it's relevant. I've got a lot of that English ivy around my house. In fact, I cut it back on some of the trees because I was having ivy trees instead of pine trees. But the deer love it. They trim it up as high as they can and they clear it out underneath. So it's as far as wildlife habitat is concerned, I guess maybe it's a resource, but I don't have any strong feelings one or the other.
Yeah, but these trees, Forest, are covered way up high.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just a matter of going out and doing what I did last fall and just cutting it at the base and do that periodically. I don't think you're going to eliminate it from the ground. That'd be a fool's errand, I think. But I think you can probably control the growth on the tree just by cutting it back every several years or so.
Yeah, I do that when I'm out doing maintenance work. I see big vines I usually, even if they're 10 or 15 feet off trail, some of them are 3 or 4 inches in diameter going up on a big mature oak tree. And I'll just cut them because eventually they'll drag the tree down. Those are really hard trees to get off of a trail when an ivy covered tree comes crashing down. It makes quite a mess. Sometimes they don't even fall. The tree is completely dead and rotted at the base, and it's got so much ivy connected to other trees, it just won't fall down.
Hmm.
So all sorts of weird stuff with that.
So are there any types of ivy that should not be cut? Like, I don't know enough about plants to know whether some things are protected versus invasive.
Now, I don't know. Certainly poison ivy, watch out for that, that would be a disaster.
That one I know and can recognize.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any protected types of ivies. It's
Okay.
something we'd have to try to find out, I guess, but it seems unlikely, I think. It's everywhere, so tough if it was protected.
As you know, as I go and snip things, that I just don't want to snip some ivory at the base of a tree that actually is something that we're wanting it to stay. That's my question. That's why I'm asking the question.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure the English ivy that you're talking about it's again, it's something that's kind of escaped the natural garden. I mean, someone's garden cultivated, and it can grow pretty aggressively when it's happy. So I don't think if you decide to go and cut some of that it would be a rare species, but natural heritage is the Fish and Wildlife would be the source to determine any kind of rare plants. If you sent them a picture, they'd probably be able to tell you.
Okay.
So other than Edmund Hill, the only thing I just wanted to bring up is we did have an Eagle Scout interested in doing some work at Mount Pisgah. And I've kind of lost track of where we are with the Scout. I don't know, Brian, if you were doing anything. Is it Declan? Is that his name?
He's supposed to present his plan at Conservation Commission on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So he's, as far as I know, he's moving along with the things he's supposed to do. Mia, you might be able to speak to that. I haven't specifically spoken with him, but I know you had instructed him that he needed to do it. I'm not sure if he actually, I don't know where he is, but he's been told to get his plan and present it.
From his travels, he's on the agenda and he knows, and I sent him the Zoom link and he's planning on attending.
Sounds good.
And
And I got
I'll be attending that meeting. So if there's any peripheral questions regarding anything that he can't answer, I'll be able to speak up if needed.
Mia, would you be able to send the Zoom link to the Conservation Committee meeting to us? Is that how we would attend?
Yeah, I think I did on Thursday or Friday when I posted the agenda. I sent it to all of you and to the Open Space Committee, specifically because of the stuff on Edmund Hill and Pisgah on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
It's an email that sends you the agenda, and then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, the Zoom information for the meeting is on there.
Thank you very much.
Can't find it, go to our agendas online and the Zoom information's in there.
All right. So I that was really all I wanted to discuss. Mainly was get an update on the Eagle Scout and also Edmund Hill Woods. I'm not sure of the formal way to open the floor, if that's the right term, but if anyone wanted to bring anything up, please feel free. I guess just to identify yourself prior to making a comment, I think would be the only requirement.
This is Justin Teal. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. I guess on the topic of easements on Edmonds Hill Trail, I guess have we looked into a prescriptive easement? Like, I think that's like, I don't know, I'm definitely not a lawyer, but I think that that's a kind of easement where it's like, if you cross over someone's property for so many decades, I think you're just automatically granted the easement. I don't know, maybe worth looking into. Save us a trail reroute.
What was that called? Prescriptive?
A prescriptive easement?
Prescriptive. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to answer that, but it's certainly an interesting idea to see, sort of like a grandfather clause, right? That, we've been going here for 30 years and we're going to keep doing it. But yeah, I don't know. Mia, have you heard of that term in your, your work on various conservation boards and stuff?
I've never heard of it. I'll look it up. As far as communication with the town knows, we have written to him saying, we respect that it's your private property and you just have to post. And we've discussed it in a meeting too previously, that as soon as he posted, we would reroute the trail.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
will look it up.
Yeah, that's good to know just in general, I think. If any of our other trails cross or have crossed private property for, a certain number of years, whatever the law states for the prescriptive easement, that might be something to fall back on. All right, well, if that's it, 7:53 p.m.
Bob?
Yeah.
Brian, could you tell the group about what happened? We had a work day last Saturday. Would you mind giving them a description?
Sure. So we did a work day up at Edmund Hill last Saturday, August, whatever that was, with a volunteer group from SEWA, SEWA, which I'm not entirely certain how. I know Mia was in touch with them and brought them on board. But primarily, we went up to Edmund Hill to try to eliminate the remains of the disc golf stuff. We pulled posts out, we pulled buckets out, we pulled some trash, we pulled some signage out. We renaturalized a bunch of areas by chucking the log pathways, chucked all the logs and the sticks back out into the woods. Basically did what we could to erase the traces of all the damage and whatever the disc golf guys had laid out in there. It was pretty successful as best we could tell. We also were working at the sort of like the height of vegetation, so it's possible come late fall or winter, some other stuff that we couldn't see may become visible. But anyway, yeah, we had a huge volunteer group. Mia led one group, I led another group, and we covered, I think, pretty much the entirety of the course from everything that they had done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Has there
Brian,
been
have
any?
they reached out to you yet on Facebook with their pictures?
Oh, nice.
They did. I mean, there was a lot of posed pictures of like the kids holding things. So I mean, that I saw the pictures. They're cute, But it was good. I mean, it's good volunteer work for the kids. I mean, they did a good job. They were as ambitious as would be expected. But
Would you consider sharing them on the Trails Committee Facebook page? I think Edmund Hill needs some good PR. Let people know that you work really hard to take care of that hill, and it's been through a lot lately. So it'd be nice for them to know that we're working on it.
Yeah.
And you can even, if you want, I could send you a PDF of that trail reroute or even an image, and you can say like the Conservation Commission will be discussing this trail reroute at their meeting on Wednesday, because I see a lot on Facebook about people saying, why aren't we doing anything about these no trespassing signs? And so just let people know that we are.
Yeah, no, I'll compose something and post it up and make sure that folks know that we are actively working on it.
And I'm sorry I missed the beginning part. Did you say, give any updates about Pisgah and the whole mountain biking stuff?
Yeah, I kind of glossed over that, but I didn't really bring that up at all as far as the, taking down some of those jumps and things like that. I don't know exactly what's happening with that.
So we've been, I don't mean, do you want to talk about it?
You can summarize it if you want. Have we met since the last Conservation Commission meeting? Because we could summarize what they did there.
Just the last one, I remember last month we talked about how they were threatening to close the whole area to mountain biking, and there was some effort by Trail Fork. The Trail Fork guy was going to take inventory of everything out there, and I just didn't know if we got that information yet.
I don't know that we have a lot of solid information yet. The key Trail Force contact was on a big trip across country. So unless he did anything for you, I don't know that he's been specifically helpful yet. I have reached out to the folks at the mountain bike group to try to raise awareness. I know we were talking about signage and possibly a reward, which is all still it's all still in process. So I don't think since our last meeting, I'm not certain if we've specifically accomplished any of our goals. We've certainly raised awareness and visibility, and we're working on stuff. But I'm not sure if we didn't really have like an itemized list of here's all the things we needed to get done before the next meeting.
And not before this meeting. I just wanted the Conservation Commission, because I know they're the ones that were, more concerned about what was going on.
My impression is that as long as, this is my impression, maybe it's an opinion, so I don't know if it's off the record, that as long as we're moving towards a solution, I feel like they may be slightly more understanding. I've also been up there a couple of times and I haven't seen any more fresh cutting. Of course, it's a huge area, so I can't say, it's not like I've ridden the whole thing or walked the whole thing.
Yeah, I've ridden portions, but I haven't same thing, like where I've ridden, I haven't seen any kind of issues at all, like no cutting, no, but I've been mostly, I think, on the Berlin side too, so.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any new damage since the whole first round of stuff from a few months ago. But also, like I said, it's been a couple weeks since I've been up there, and it's exceptionally difficult to cover the entirety of the place.
Anything new from the Concom, Mia?
Yeah, I think you're muted still.
Yeah, Mia, your video's choppy and you're muted.
Muted or frozen, or semi-frozen. She's just avoiding the question, Marielle.
You hear me now?
I think she can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to load them out. The Conservation Commission was present. Berlin Conservation was present. The Chief Liver from Northborough Police and Liz Newland from the Division of Fish and Wildlife. And Brian.
Ooh, Brian, you're being called out, I think.
Oh, no, I was there.
I don't know.
I was at the meeting.
I'm just,
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So you can just give the update that what they were saying. Okay, sorry about that. So we got it.
Okay.
Right, and since our meetings are flipped now, so we had conservation, then we had trails, but we don't have conservation again until Wednesday. So
Okay.
I suppose at that point we'll know better. I'm not sure what their feelings are.
Yeah.
I know there was lots of, heavy-handed talk of banning bikes and whatever else. My off-the-record opinion is that I don't think that would happen as long as we're working towards a decent solution and as long as the damage is not still occurring.
Yeah.
But that's an opinion. I don't, not on Conservation Commission. So if they all decide to vote to ban mountain biking, that'll be pretty exciting.
But did Fish and Wildlife say anything?
I don't. Mia,
Can
was
you
the
hear
rep?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Fish and Wildlife was concerned. They think that mountain biking is not conducive to a wildlife management area, so they don't want to support keeping it open or closing it. They said it's up to our discretion, but they also don't support keeping it open to mountain bikes. And she also pointed out that we needed to do some work on our hunting issues, that there actually is hunting allowed up there, and there's 2 parcels where we need to address the policy up there. So I've been working with the police on that, and that will also be discussed at Wednesday's meeting, because right now there is hunting allowed up there. I know the commission had previously dismissed it as that there was nowhere because there was nothing far enough away, but there actually is. And then you're supposed to have a permit from the commission. The commission doesn't even have a permit because they always thought there was no place. So they need to either design a permit or dismiss the need for a permit. They'll have to make that determination Wednesday. Can you see the map?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
I haven't.
it's too small to discern info.
So it's what
I think you just need to make it full screen.
Yeah.
If you can zoom in your map or expand your map somehow.
I was just gonna say, they might not want biking up there, but they don't even want hiking on their land now, right? So.
Yeah, over near Cedar Hill, Crane Swamp area, they told us to stop maintaining that trail near the model airplane field.
Right,
Because that's hunting land, even though there's model airplanes buzzing around.
yeah, isn't that those statewide?
Yeah, it's there were some, I think out near the Quabbin Reservoir, there were some rogue trails that were being built, and then they drag brush, and the state officials try to close it down, and then it would be reopened a week later. And I think it was ATV riders. I don't even think it was mountain bikers. And they were having a lot of difficulty with that, and then somehow that morphed into a statewide ban of trail maintenance and construction on all Fish and Wildlife property. And Mia, I think we've lost audio again, Mia.
Poor Mia.
Yeah.
She's so lost tonight.
She must have to do it every night too.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be hard.
Well, I think I'm set anyways, if it helps. Like I was just asking, I wanted to catch up on that, and unless there's something else.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to discuss, and I think I will tune in to the Zoom on Wednesday for the Conservation Committee meeting. And maybe we'll find out some more there about these topics. I just got a text, but it was not. So I'm looking for the rules for closing the meeting. I think forget exactly what I'm supposed to do here.
Bob, do we have minutes from the last meeting? Because we're theoretically supposed to read those and approve them if we have them.
Yeah, so it was Mia
Yeah,
Mia was gonna write the minutes as well as, or somehow use the recording of the meeting to come up with minutes, I think. Because it was recorded. But yeah, I don't know the status of that, Brian. You know, where the minutes would be, or is it just the video recording of the meeting now that constitutes the minutes? So, you know, we can't hear Mia, so, and she's the one who would know the answer.
Mia, you're still muted.
she might be writing us a note. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, can you guys read that?
No, Mia, you have to unshare your map so we can go back to full screen.
Minutes not ready.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. Okay. Okay, well, I think what we did last time was each person in attendance just state your name at the close of the meeting, so that we kind of know who was here. Marielle, you didn't formally introduce yourself when you joined, but that's okay. That's Marielle Stone, by the way.
I didn't want to do that, but yeah, it's Marielle Stone in attendance on August 10th.
Thank you. Cheryl,
Yeah, Cheryl Devine, August 10th, here I am.
Brian,
Brian Belfer, August 10th.
Forrest,
Forrest Lyford,
Justin,
Justin Teal.
and our staff member, Mia.
She'll write a note.
Yeah,
The
for the
Right,
record,
and
Dan McDonald is having audio trouble.
using Zoom, so.
Right. And my name is Bob Mahalik, in attendance August 10th. Thank you, everybody. And
I think we have to move to adjourn if no one has anything else to say.
I
Sure.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I'll third the motion.
approve.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, good night.
Bye.
okay,
Thanks,
good
guys.
meeting.
Bye.
Seeing everybody.
Bye.